This is a story of a mother's relentless fight for her child that was taken away by a trusted friend, confidant, and self proclaimed woman of God. This story goes all the way back to the Potter's House located in Dallas, Texas. The Potter's House was founded in 1996. It now has about 30,000 members led by senior pastor T.D. Jakes, who charges an astronomical speaking fee of anywhere between $100,000 to $200,000. According to LinkedIn, T.D. Jakes is the third most richest pastors in the world, not just the city, Craig, the world. He has garnered relationships in Hollywood, the secular music industry, global politicians, judges, attorneys, the police force, and more. Due to the power that he possesses and major charitable contributions, many of his followers have been walking blindly behind him for years, giving more praises to the man and the empire more than what they do with God. Michelle met Cora Jakes when she was around 12 or 13 years of age at the Potter's House. The two grew up very closely and joined at the hip, participating in several ministries at the church. Michelle would often spend a lot of time at the Jakes estate, where there was often limited to no adult supervision. Later, Michelle eventually got frustrated with being the scapegoat and fall guy for Cora's wild and reckless behavior, contributing to the stereotypical preacher kid's antics. The two grew up into young women who embarked on their own lives and began to create their own families. Michelle had 3 beautiful blessings, and Cora, on the other hand, was not so blessed. Cora states that the reason for her having infertility issues was due to a hormonal disorder called polycystic ovarian syndrome, better known as PCOS. While this may be true, close sources reveals that Cora's infertility was due to a botched abortion she had as a teen. 2 things can be true at the same time, seeing how her younger sister was impregnated at the age of 13, and both Jake sisters have the moral capacity of Ted Bundy. But the outcome remains the same. Cora could not have children of her own. Some people in the church have also stated that despite their sisterly image portrayed in interviews and photos, there was an underlying rage of jealousy towards her younger sister, Sarah, the sister whom the general public would deem as the prettier sister and the stylish sister, the sister who could naturally conceive with no issues, the perfect family image, and the sister who would have the torch passed down to her from her father by fully taking over his empire later. Along with this, and the fact that she was becoming more and more obsessed with being around the company of children and babies, many could speculate that this is what drove her over the edge in a manic state where she would be treated in a mental health facility. During her first live, Michelle states that she is not the only woman that Cora has tried to do this to. Let's take a look at some things that YouTube blogger Nosy Bystander has uncovered. If you do not see the clips in this video, it's because YouTube would not allow
The image was taken on October 10th of 2012. The image seen here is Cora holding a baby's hand, and in the caption it says, "Best part of my day, hashtag Jason is extraordinary." And now you're probably asking yourself, why is this image unusual, right? Well, it's unusual because this baby is not Jason. This is Jason, and in this image, he's only 7 weeks old. And check the date, it's 2014. Now, why would Cora be calling this mystery baby Jason? The short answer is we don't know. We can only speculate that she was gearing up to name that baby Jason. But that baby happened to be baby Jojo, or baby Josiah, the baby that was stripped from Cora by his biological mother. Here's an image of another baby named baby Ruby, and Cora posted this on her Instagram 3 days ago. And in the caption below, she states, "My Ruby be napping, hashtag nappy, hashtag nap time." And in this other post, Cora actually posted this, and the caption below states, "My best friend gave me quite possibly the best gift ever during the hardest transition of my life." And it seems like that Cora was getting another baby.
If this is your first time hearing anything about this story, you would ask, why did they not just go through an adoption agency? Well, Cora claims that she acquired this child, Amari, whose birth name is Bianca, by a foster to adopt program. Amidst all of the allegations throughout the years, she has yet to produce any type of receipt. It is also very hard to believe that anyone would place a child in the home of someone, that someone being Cora's husband, who had a litany of previous violent charges under his belt. Amari's mother was actually a poor migrant from Mexico searching for refuge at the Potter's house. When Cora's so-called charm and manipulation did not sway the mother to give her child up to Cora, Sarita Jake stepped in with her good knees and had the child's mother deported back to Mexico to never be seen from or heard from again. After ups and downs in her life, Michelle's relationship with Jason's father came to an end after he left his family to run off with a random stripper. Jason's father to date has not spoken up or stepped forward to reclaim the rights of his child. Either he simply does not care or was paid to stay away and keep quiet. We may never know. The most important thing right now is focusing on the fights and not those who opt to flee from their responsibility. After the breakup, she returned back home pregnant with her fourth child, Jason. She was alone, homeless, depressed, and overwhelmed. At this point, she had returned back to live with her estranged mother, whose relationship was not the best at this time. According to the Tasha K interview, before meeting up with Cora, Michelle and Cora had a mutual associate by the name of Ashley Williams. Ashley relayed the information to Michelle that Cora had inquired several times about adopting Michelle's unborn son. Now, let the shenanigans begin. Michelle and Cora later became reacquainted again in 2014 at the church's Easter picnic. They engaged in conversation, and with everything being so bottled up for months, Michelle finally broke down to a listening ear who appeared to be a safe place. Cora offered a few words of encouragement and prayed over Michelle's pregnant belly. God only knows what spell was being spoken in that very moment. She told Michelle to call if she ever needed anything. They exchanged phone numbers and their goodbyes. Finally, a little later in the spring of May 2014, baby Jason was ready to make an appearance. Because Michelle's mother had to sit with her other children, Michelle found herself alone again. Michelle, in a panic, called Cora to meet her at the hospital. Not many pregnant women want to go through childbirthing all alone. Cora came driving like a bat out of hell. I'm assuming because she beat Michelle and the paramedics to the hospital, as if she had been waiting on this very moment since the day she ran into Michelle. After Michelle was released from the hospital, Cora was adamant about having her and Jason come back to live with her while she recovered for about 2 weeks. Like many mothers who can see danger happening a mile away coming for their child, Michelle's mother displayed her state of suspicion and concern about Cora's motives and intentions. Due to the fact that they still were not on the best of terms, Michelle did not heed her mother's warnings. Once again, Cora would start to bring up the topic of adoption, spamming Michelle with emails and videos on TED Talks regarding adoption. Although Michelle was going through a severe postpartum depression, she never entertained the thought of giving up her child to anyone. Desperate for mental health care, Cora volunteered to become Michelle's mental health counselor, although unlicensed at the time. She did not allow Michelle to use any devices, but Cora used her MacBooks to record these sessions where Michelle would spill her darkest secrets and use spiritual coercion to get her to say things that would not paint her in the best of light. Cora later used these recordings during her trial. One afternoon after church, Michelle stayed back a while. By the time she arrived back to Cora's house, what she walked into was nothing short of demonic. Cora's godmother had orchestrated an exorcism. I mean, the scene was set. Candles, chanting in a circle, and snatching off a ring off of her finger in an effort to cast out a non-existing demon. Michelle fell deeper into Cora's manipulation. She convinced Michelle that it was not the best thing for Jason to go back and forth between Michelle's home and her home. She stated that she had way more to offer, and this would only be temporary until Michelle got back on her feet. Michelle, needing the assistance between caring for 3 other children, being mentally and emotionally drained, and working a full-time job to make sure she could provide for her children, obliged the offer. The day came where Cora asked Michelle to meet her at a UPS store while Michelle was rushing on her way to work to get her to sign a document that would allow Jason to fly with Cora as she traveled across the country. A rushed and stressed Michelle signed the document without fully reading it, trusting her friend that she's known for over 20 years. What she did not know is that the document she was signing was legal guardianship. Still unaware of what she had signed, Michelle moved back into the home with Cora and Jason. A couple of months later, she would find a notebook filled with receipts of everything Cora had purchased Jason since his arrival into this world, records of when Michelle was not with her son, and much more. In this moment, an alarm sounded. Michelle was being threatened and cornered to make one last additional signature for a legal settlement without presence of counsel called settlement communications. None of the rules or guidelines were ever explained. A common person with no legal background would not know any of the details. Michelle signed and decided that she would stand up for her rights in the court of law. It should be noted that the attorney who drew up the paperwork and assisted with breaking numerous codes of ethics is Faith Johnson, who was representing Cora. She is a close friend of the family and also sits on the board at the Potter's house. She is the exact same attorney that Sarah Jakes Roberts would use to terminate and strip away the rights of her child's father. This is a story that just keeps on taking. Now was the time to go to trial, as Cora wanted to take baby Jason for good. The first trial was a mistrial. It is Michelle's belief that the attorney she hired threw her case on purpose by not presenting the proper evidence to collect a check from the Jakes family. The second time Michelle went to trial, she represented herself and requested a jury for her trial. The Jakes attorney threatened to reveal all of the therapy recordings, paper trails, and the video of her smoking a cigar, which was alleged as marijuana. Michelle then left defeated and broken. Michelle started to phone attorneys that day to continue the fight for her child. Once again, it is important that we reiterate the fact that these documents were signed under coercion and duress. Michelle immediately sought legal counsel right after. This does not sound like a mother who willingly gave her child away. For years, we have yet to see Cora drop one receipt against these claims. Pertinent evidence has been sealed in family court, which would expose the dates of specific filings and prove ethical and legal violations that went excused. This time, Michelle is not alone. Her supporters are working to make sure that she gets the best legal representation this time. If you can, we are asking that you assist by donating whatever it is that you can do. Nothing is too great or too small. The days of watching from the sidelines are over. It's time to take action.